Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody, and to another installment of the Missabe Western Railroad build. As you probably heard, my dog's just come down the stairs to see what I'm doing. I don't know if you're getting excited by the progress on this build, but I know at this stage I was. Now, throughout most of this build, I had been plagued by delays, mainly in the form of other responsibilities competing for my time. And at this point I had less than 2 weeks remaining before the customer was due to come and collect it, and still a lot of work to do, so I really needed to start stepping up the pace a bit. So let's head back out into the workshop and continue with the build. Well, it is the start of another week, actually the last full week that I have available before the client comes to collect it. On Saturday I didn't quite get as far as I wanted to. I didn't get the bottom curve in this corner, or either the curves in this corner to hold the fascia in the right place. So I'm going to start with those, and then I'm going to lay track on all the roadbed that's installed. And since the extra wire that I ordered has now arrived, I can get the missing feeders in as well. That will probably take me all today. And if I have any time left over, I'll continue the bench work over the top of that section that you can see in the camera now. So let me just get to work and I will check in with you again later. Well, time has run out for the day, but not before I got a lot done. I got all the missing bench work in. This piece in this corner, the piece in this corner, and a missing roadbed support over there by the glue bottle. And then I got all the missing feeders in for the top lap of the Helix, and I got all the track laid from this corner all the way around to the far distance, around the Y, over the bridge, out to here where these weights are, and back up back to where the soldering station is. So that is as much track as I can really do for the time being. Includes 4 turnouts and 2 diamond crossings for the Y. I don't have the switch machines in yet, nor do I have the feeders. I do have the section joints installed over here, and they're just behind the solder, and here, although the ones on the curves have not yet been cut. We'll cut those tomorrow once the glues have plenty of time to set. And I still have to decide which colour I'm going to do those 2 blocks, because the Helix is 1 power district, and then from this joint around the end onto the visible portion of the railroad and into the industrial area is another power district, and from that joint around through this junction and eventually around through the wall and into the passenger terminal will be a 3rd power district. So all 3 of those come together at that point. But I'm just going to turn the camera off now, and I'll check in with you again tomorrow. Well, today I have a lot of small tasks to take care of, none of which are going to be particularly obvious, some of which I've already done. I have already cut the track joints between the sections, one there by the Sharpie and another one halfway around that curve. I've installed all the fences on the top level as far as I've gone, and finished the fences down here that I never got round to before. I just used up all the pieces in there. The next task is to come back to the DCC cabinet and install a whole load more EB1s and AR10s. Get those wired up, get the wiring tested, and get another loom of wires from this cabinet into the railroad. Terminal block will probably go on here where my fingers are, and then from here I've got to install some bus wires. I haven't yet figured out the routes they will take, and then I've got to drop feeders for these 2 junctions at the top of the Helix. Then once I've done that, I can do some cleaning up, vacuum all the dust and crap off the track, and do a full top to bottom Helix test. So hopefully I can get that far today. I may not record very many more clips, but I will check in with you at least by tomorrow morning, let you know how far I got. Well, it's taken me most of the afternoon, but I have got the DCC cabinet completely wired up. I have all the EV1s and AR10s installed in their correct locations according to the sections they control on the layout. I also have the outputs for the first 3 power districts in wiring looms through the end of the cabinet to terminal blocks on the railroad. The 4th power district doesn't yet have the outputs on it, but that's going to be years away, so that can be added at some point in the future. I had to rethink my original plan. If you recall what I showed before, I had all the boards daisy chained one to the other, but with the design of the terminal blocks I wasn't convinced I wasn't going to get any shorts with 2 wires in each one, because I had to cheat them to be able to get them in. The old design of board had a second set of terminals to do just that. Unfortunately that was deleted in the new design, so we have to find another way of doing it. I just cut up some of the offcuts from my fast track copperhead tie strips to use those as terminal strips. Anyway, I'm going to go in now. I have stuff to do inside, so I will check in with you again tomorrow. Well, this morning I have my dog out here with me. Hey Duke, say hi to the camera. I have a lot of varied tasks I want to take care of today. First thing I've done is cleaned up the fences I installed yesterday and also cut them at the section joints, because what I've been doing is just installing them in continuous 8-foot lengths and then making the cuts with the jigsaw where I need to once the glue is set up. It's a lot easier doing it that way. Same as the road bed. My next major task is to get all the bus wires in for the middle level. I want to do that now, but unfortunately I didn't buy enough connectors. So I'm going to have to climb under the layout and salvage some that I didn't use all the terminals for. They're all in 12 terminal blocks, and there's a few that I can probably cut in half to salvage extra pieces. So I'm going to do that now, and I should be able to salvage enough pieces to do what I need to for the main deck. So let me do that, get some bus wires installed. Hopefully I'll then be able to get the feeders in and get some more testing done. So don't go away, I'll check in with you again later. Well, I've now put all the bus wires in over this side of the railroad. One of the problems I had was trying to find acceptable paths for them without going down underneath the low level framing, because I wanted to keep the middle deck bus wires on the middle deck to avoid confusion. So you can see a loom of bus wires running alongside the bridge over there, and they're just zip tied underneath the track bed so I don't get clearance problems. All the feeders have been dropped down through the holes, although they're not connected up at either end yet. Next job is to get the soldering iron out, do all the top ends, and then go back underneath the railroad and connect them up underneath. And then hopefully before the day's out I will have time to install 6 switch machines and do some testing. So I've got a busy afternoon ahead of me. I'll check in with you again later. Don't go away. Well, all the feeders have now been connected up, top and bottom, and I have vacuumed up all the dust and crap from the top lap of the Helix and the top Y. So I am basically ready to put a locomotive on it and test the track at the top. Of course, just as I was thinking about doing that, I realised that I need to go back in the house and get another booster, another power supply, because we're now on a different power district. So let me do that, and I'll come back out and let you know if it works. Well, I have a bit of a problem in this area. I've tried 2 different boosters and they're both telling me that they're getting no signal from the command station. So I suspect the central command station is bad. I don't have time to send it in for repair, or at least for diagnostics, so in the interest of getting the railroad tested, I've temporarily hooked both power districts up directly to the command station. I've had one before that was giving no output, which is really annoying. NCE is supposed to be really good components, but of the 3 that I've had, 2 of them have had this problem. I have one short at the far end, but I'm going to have to find out what's causing it. It was working until I put the switch machine in, and then for some reason it shorts out as soon as I reverse it. So I'm going to drop out that switch machine, put a different one in, and see what happens. But that's a task for another day. It is already almost 8 o'clock and I've been out here for the best part of 12 hours. So I need to get in, get something to eat. I will check in with you again later. Well, good morning everybody. It is Thursday morning and the main task for the day is to get the bottom lap on the upper helix, which is not quite directly above the top of the lower helix. But before I get there, I've got two little things to fix. This turnout here is shorting out when it's reversed. I thought about it last night in the shower and I know exactly what I did wrong. So I've got to drop that switch machine and change the wiring, put it back. It won't take too long. And the other thing I've got to do, one of the safety fences right down the bottom lap got banged yesterday and broken. And it'll take me a few minutes just to re-glue that. A lot less than it would have done if the fence hadn't been there and the track had got broken. So I'm going to get those two little things fixed and then I'll be back out with some plywood to continue with the helix. Well, this morning's repairs didn't take me very long. I've just cut out one full sheet of plywood to make segments for the upper helix. Although smaller than the main one, this is still quite a large helix as they go. All these segments have an inside radius of 34 inches and a 7 inches wide outside radius 41 inches. I've got one half circle which I cut out of the sheet first. And then I use that as a pattern. And I have 8 other segments of various sizes, ranging from this piece here, which is more than 1/4 of a circle, down to the shortest one, which is about a 2-foot segment. And that's one full sheet cut up with no usable offcuts. The only pieces left over are slivers like this one, which are just going in the trash. There's no point in keeping those. So I've got to get the helix plotted, figure out exactly where it's got to go on top of this. As I said earlier, it doesn't quite line up with the bottom helix, but it's close. So that half circle will come around from where the glue can is, around to somewhere over the top of that double junction over there. I've still got to make the entry piece, which is going to be a 1/4 circle with an easement and a straight piece. But I'll cut that out of a different sheet. I have some offcuts in the other room. So let me work that out and I'll be right back. Well, it's taken a while, but I've got the start of the upper helix in and adjusted, and with the grade perfect and the alignment as perfect as I can get it. Well, perfect enough anyway. This step here is because I forgot when I put this section together that the grade doesn't start there, it starts about 4 feet further back. So I've actually got a 5/8 inch step, and I'm going to try using Woodland Scenic's grade starters to build that up, see how I get along. If not, I might end up just with successively thicker and thicker shims, but I'll make it work. I'm not going to be laying the track on that until the benchwork is installed in its final resting place, so I've got plenty of time to figure it out. I did originally want to make the first joint all the way back here, just past the joint in the lower section, but unfortunately the start of the grade has to be part of the same section as the Y beneath it, which has to go in before the bridge section, and I need to be able to get to these screws. And unfortunately these 2 screws here are right below the tracks, so I would not have been able to get a screwdriver in at an acceptable angle if I'd covered them. So I had to cut it back to here, and I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to have a short detachable piece or if I'm just going to split it on the diagonal. Of course, it's one thing building something like this. It's a completely different kettle of fish building it in such a way that it can be dismantled for delivery. And as a result of that, there are a few additional compromises that I have to make that I wouldn't have to if I was building it in situ. Anyway, I now need to get another full half circle that I can clamp to this one, because I've decided that will be an easier way of getting everything right. Well, I've now cut a second half circle, this time using the full width of the sheet so that I have a small overlap. And as you can probably see, I've got some temporary screws in, so I've now got a rigid circle showing the exact size of the helix. And I've got it clamped directly on top of the piece that I've already positioned accurately. And that now gives me accurate location all the way around so that I can figure out the best way to support the rest of it. But I'm rather hot right now. I need to go in, get a drink, get cooled off, and get a plan together, figure out how I'm going to support it. So don't go away, I'll check in with you again later. Well, I've put this piece of framework in across here. I've got this flat piece which rests on the benchwork I already had, 3 joists and a beam from this post across to that post over there. And these joists are just a little bit below the industrial trackage which is going in that area, and I'll still have to put risers in to elevate the bottom of the helix, but at least now I've got a level surface that I can work from. Well, before I went in last night, I got the first lap of the upper helix 3/4 of the way done, all the way around here to where the roadbed is hanging off the end. I've just got to collect the last 1/4 lap and then that'll be the hard part done. After that, it'll be a case of adding 3 more fairly straightforward laps. I want to get around there as quickly as I can, get as much as possible done today. I was thinking that the first order of business was to get that track laid there so that I can cover it. But I also want to get the wood fences in before then, so that if I end up dropping anything on it, I don't dent the track. It just bounces off the fence. So I'm going to install 2 8-foot lengths of safety fence, then get the track around all the way to here, and then put the feeder wires in so I can cover it. Well, the bench work for the first lap is now complete, so all the hard stuff is now done. I built another bridge section across this side and then used radial joists the same way as I started the lower helix. And then once I get above the track below it, it's just a case of making 2 long strips of plywood on the table saw and cutting it into blocks, so I know they're all the same height. So now it is back to roadbed, track laying, feeders, testing for the next lap before I get back to woodwork again. Well, although that wasn't the end of the week, I'm going to break the video here because it's already getting plenty long enough, and that was about half of the remaining footage that I had. For the next video, we will finish the upper helix. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's video, and I hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.